I was so embarrassed. I remember just feeling so deeply embarrassed. I also remember sobbing, saying the words, "I'm just so embarrassed," when I was 38 weeks pregnant with my second child, after my partner of 10 years said he didn't love me and didn't want to be with me, didn't want to be a family with us anymore. I don't know why I was saying I feel so embarrassed, because if I was sitting with a friend or a family member who was in the position I was in and they were saying that they felt embarrassed, I would be confused by that. What do you mean you're embarrassed? What have you got to be embarrassed for? This is not your decision. This is not your choice. But I was just saying exactly how I felt, like unfiltered. I felt so embarrassed. So embarrassing. I remember saying that, sitting on my poor mum's sofa, heavily pregnant, sobbing, saying, "It's so embarrassing to be left at 38 weeks pregnant. We have a 2-year-old at home. It's so embarrassing." Like, how? I guess there was an element of like, what will people think? But it was also just like, I've just never felt more vulnerable in my life. And I felt so cast aside, so unloved, unwanted, disregarded. And that's embarrassing because I'd tried so hard. And I was embarrassed that I loved somebody and was in love with somebody who A, treated me so badly, B, treated our children so badly, and C, clearly did not want to be around us, didn't want to be around me, didn't want to live the life that we had actually both actively participated in building. That's so embarrassing, to love that person, to want that person to turn around, change their mind, do better, continue to commit to the life that you had together. That's embarrassing. Like, I should have had more self-worth than that. How did I find myself in this position? I didn't used to be this girl. I was never someone who pined after somebody. I've never asked for anyone to take me back. If you don't want to be with me, don't be with me. But how did I get myself in this position where I'm sobbing over a man who has treated me and my children this way? That's embarrassing. That's what was happening, is I was starting to realise what I had put myself through, what I had tolerated. Yes, I was doing it because I was trying to keep my family together. And yes, I did it because I did still love him. And I had tried with every fibre of my being to make that work. I had done everything. I was the loudest cheerleader that there could possibly be. The only thing I hadn't tried was standing up to him. And actually, the night before, I confronted him and said, after sobbing for what felt like months at that point, crying myself to sleep silently every night, I said, "I feel like you don't love me anymore. Is that true?" And he said yes. And that was the end of everything. The only thing I hadn't done up to that night was confront him or pull him up on it. A couple of times we had had a disagreement and he'd flown so far off the handle, I would backpedal and be so scared that was it, my whole life was going to crumble, that I would backpedal and then support, because I was told on quite a few occasions, you need to support me, you need to back me up. So that's what I did. And it was embarrassing that I did that and it still didn't work. How awful must I be? How unbearable must it be to live with me and our children? Really unbearable, right? Like, you'd literally rather set the whole lot on fire. That embarrassment obviously was linked to a lot of shame. I felt so ashamed. I felt ashamed that I was going to have to raise my kids alone, but I also felt ashamed that I'd given someone who wasn't worthy of it so much of my love, attention and care. I was ashamed at what I hadn't stood up to. But over time, those feelings and that responsibility that I gave myself is what started the foundation level, I suppose, of me starting to build myself back up to the person that I was before, and stronger than I was before because of what I've been through. They were the building blocks, using them to push myself forward. It's not easy. It's still a mess, and I wouldn't wish it on anybody. But I don't think I'll ever forget saying that. I'm just so embarrassed.